Kelly Agati. I am a study abroad advisor here at Providence College. Thank you for your patience as we were setting up. I know we're kind of back to back today with sessions. So we're just going to jump right in so that we don't hold anyone up. So I will start with some basic information about study abroad, what that looks like at PC. And then I will turn it over to our wonderful panel of returned study abroad students. So these are all seniors who studied abroad last year during their junior year. We're going to take questions at the end, so please just hold your questions for the end of the session if there's anything else that you'd like to know. Right, so the Center for International Studies is kind of our international hub here on campus. We work with a number of different populations. We work with study abroad students for semester programs, for short-term programs. We work with international degree-seeking students, so students who are coming from other countries to study at PC full-time. We also work with faculty on developing different programs and different opportunities for them abroad. And we work on helping to promote the internationalization efforts of the campus community. So the Center for International Studies is really the place that students will be going for any of their international needs, but primarily we see them for study abroad. So I have divided this session into two sections. So we're going to start by talking about semester study abroad, and then we'll move into short-term study abroad. They do look a little bit different here, so I wanted to make sure we distinguish between the two. So semester study abroad, in order to be eligible for PC approval, students must meet the following eligibility requirements up until the point of departure. So students must be in junior standing when they're studying abroad for a semester. That's because students need to be completed with all of their development of Western civilization requirements before they can spend a semester away from the college. Students also need to have a minimum cumulative GPA of a 2.75. Now, right now, your student, most likely, is a freshman, so they don't have a GPA yet, but this is just a number to be keeping in mind for the future if you're interested in study abroad. All of the financial obligations of the college do need to be met, so what that translates to basically is that the student cannot be on a financial hold. Students also must undergo a disciplinary review process, and students have to declare a major by December 1st of sophomore year. And that you'll start to see a little bit more throughout the session, but we do emphasize curricular integration as part of the study abroad semester, so it's important for students to know what their major is going to be. Lastly, any student who is interested in studying abroad during the fall semester, spring semester, or full year of junior year needs to apply for PC approval by December 1st of sophomore year. It's one application deadline for all of junior year study abroad. Students will hear this date a lot, especially during the fall semester of sophomore year. We do have a number of different program options. We approve over 300 different study abroad programs around the world, so students have a lot of variety for where they can study. All of our majors here at PC are eligible for study abroad, so no major is prohibited from being able to spend a semester away from campus. Some do require additional planning, though. Study abroad, again, is academically integrated into the PC curriculum. So study abroad is not a semester off. Students are still making progress towards their degree requirements, so they're not set behind for graduation. All of our programs are carefully reviewed by my office, the Center for International Studies, as well as the faculty here at PC. Courses can fulfill major, minor, core curriculum, and free elective requirements. So again, students are taking classes that will meet requirements for them while they're abroad. Programs also offer different opportunities for experiential learning, so this can include internships, service learning, field-based research, and different independent study projects. So if students have an interest in getting more work opportunities outside of the classroom, we can help them find a program that will allow them to do so. Lastly, this is very important. Students do receive Providence College credits and grades for the semester they study abroad, not transfer credits. Everything counts as Providence College credits and grades, and all of the grades are factored into the student's cumulative GPA. So, along with our office, students will be receiving support from the program that they've selected. Support happens at all stages throughout the process. I just listed a few examples up here for your reference. We do select programs that meet best practices in the field for health and safety. And during the program selection phase, when students are still on campus trying to decide where they are going, they will be meeting with my office, so either myself or our other advisor, Catherine Jacobs. And we work with students a lot for finding a program that's the best fit for them academically and along with their interests. And we work on helping students with their course selection and approval for the time that they'll be studying abroad. The program helps with all of the logistical arrangements pertaining to their time in the country. So for example, their visa applications and any arrival information they should know, when to book their flights, etc. While abroad, students receive 24/7 support from their program. Every program has an emergency number that students can call if any situation should arise in which they would need additional support. They also do receive an airport pickup. They go right into an orientation when they arrive in the country to start to get acclimated. And then our office is still a resource for students while abroad if any other issues do come up while they are there. So a little bit about costs. I know when I was thinking about studying abroad, the first thing my dad asked me was, what is this going to cost me? So Providence College uses a homeschool tuition policy, and I'm going to break that down a little bit more on the next slide. The reason that we use this policy is to make study abroad more equally accessible to all PC students. So financial aid is able to apply to a study abroad semester or year. Scholarships are also available specifically for study abroad. So if a student receives any merit-based or need-based aid on campus, they should be considering applying for study abroad scholarships as well. Every little bit does help. Students are then responsible for all personal expenses such as independent travel, textbooks, their meals in most cases, so personal expenses are not a billed cost. Now, the total cost will vary by student, the location where students are studying as far as the cost of living, and the students' personal activities will determine how much each student will spend while they're abroad. So for example, the more often students are traveling, the more money they will end up spending. So this is the breakdown of the homeschool tuition policy, and this is going to be a very familiar policy to you by the time your student ends up going abroad. So under the homeschool tuition policy, students and their parents receive two separate bills for that semester. One is from Providence College, and that's for two expenses. Students pay PC tuition in the amount they normally pay. So financial aid is portable. Whatever tuition amount appears after financial aid is subtracted from the tuition amount will continue to appear on the bill during the study abroad semester. Students are also billed by the college for the $1,000 study abroad fee. This is a fee similar to the general activity fee. It's billed by the college, so it's billed along with tuition. Those are the only two costs that students will see on their PC bill during the study abroad semester, unless there are any outstanding charges or if the student is on the Providence College health plan. From the program, students will be paying all non-tuition costs, and that cost is primarily for housing, but it also includes the other support services and program fees that the program is charging. The non-refundable deposit is also due to the program to secure the student's place. Now, these costs, the billed costs, tend to be comparable to a semester on campus at PC. However, study abroad oftentimes ends up being a bit more expensive for students because they are paying for round-trip airfare, visa costs, and other expenses that they wouldn't normally have here in Providence. So shifting gears a little bit to talk about short-term study abroad, Students may study abroad for a shorter term any summer after freshman year. So this summer, your student would be eligible to go abroad if they so choose. Short-term programs come in a number of different shapes and sizes, and we'll break that down a little bit more on the next slide. But students can go abroad regardless of their cumulative GPA. So we do not maintain a minimum cumulative GPA requirement for short-term programs. Similarly to this semester, students cannot have any financial holds and also would need to undergo a disciplinary review process. The application process for summer study abroad, for example, I listed the date for this coming summer here. It's always mid to late March for the immediate summer following that semester. So for example, for study abroad this summer of 2015, the application deadline is March 20th. Now, summer study abroad isn't the only option for short-term study abroad, but I have outlined what that looks like. PC does not maintain a list of recognized summer programs as we do for the semester. So students can go on any program where they will be receiving academic credit. Students do need to receive a grade of C or higher in their courses in order to be able to receive the credit, and in that case, it will come back appearing on their transcript as a T for transfer. So again, this is a major difference academically from the semester study abroad. Students during summer study abroad can still fulfill requirements, so it's not necessarily a less convenient option for them to fulfill degree requirements. In addition to traditional summer programs, students may also decide to go on a faculty-led program. So these program options vary by year, depending on what the faculty are interested in doing. This summer, for example, we have a program running to the United Kingdom, we have a program running to Ghana, and we have a program running to Japan. So these will depend on the faculty members every year for what programs will be offered. They may also be running a course-embedded program. What this would look like is students would be enrolled in a course during the spring semester on campus, and they would have a one-week component internationally as part of the course requirements. So students, in this case, do receive Providence College credits and grades because they are being taught by a Providence College faculty member. The costs for summer are also different compared with semester study abroad. So for summer, students pay the full published program cost to the program. That includes the tuition fees. And then for summer, there is a $200 Providence College short-term program study abroad fee. And that is primarily to be able to transfer the credits. But we do outline in your pamphlets exactly what the fee will cover. For faculty-led programs, by contrast, students are paying Providence College School of Continuing Education tuition. So the SCE is what students are enrolled in for any summer coursework that they do on the college. So they pay SCE tuition and then any other program fees. That usually does include their flights, their meals, their accommodations while they're abroad. So as far as next steps to start thinking about, number one, we do offer a number of information sessions starting during the spring semester for freshmen. So at the end of this coming spring semester, we offer a freshman edition of our information session. We'll also start doing specific summer study abroad information sessions in January. And we have optional financing study abroad sessions where students learn a little bit more, not only about the policies, but also different scholarship opportunities and different ways of managing a budget while abroad. We also have a study abroad fair annually. This happens during the Providence College International Education Week. The study abroad fair is usually the last Monday of September. This is a great opportunity for students to explore the different program options available to them. Our website is probably the best resource for students and families for getting information about study abroad. Our programs are listed there, different policies are available, frequently asked questions. So for students who are interested in starting their research, our website is the best place to begin. Then we encourage students to come in and meet with an advisor. It's not required for students to have a study abroad advising meeting, but of course we do encourage that if they have questions or are looking to specifically sort out their courses. Then the last step is to apply by the application deadline. Again, this varies based on the type of opportunity students are seeking, but again, keeping in mind December 1st for sophomores if they want to study abroad during junior year. Just to clarify, that December 1st deadline for semester study abroad does not commit students to going. So we encourage all students who are considering semester study abroad to apply by that date so that they can remain eligible. If they miss the deadline, they miss their opportunity, but they are not bound to going if they do get approval from the college. They may withdraw later at no financial penalty. So enough from me. I am now going to turn it over to our panelists of returned students.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vince Whalen. I'm a senior, like Ali said. I'm a double major in economics and Spanish. And last fall 2013, I studied abroad in Copenhagen, Denmark. And what I'm going to talk about today is my housing in Denmark. There's a couple of different options when you study abroad in Copenhagen at the Danish Institute for Study Abroad, or DIS. I chose to live in what's called a collegium. So in Denmark, a collegium is a privately owned dorm building for university students because none of the colleges have their own dorm buildings. So there's two types. You can live in an international collegium, which is mostly international students and a few Danish students, or a traditional collegium, which is mostly Danish students and a few international students. So I chose to live in an international one with about 300 students. I think there were about 50 Danish students and about 250 students from all over the world who were studying there. So the collegium was called Signalhuset, which means the lighthouse in Danish, and it was at a pretty central location. I was about 10 minutes outside the city by metro. I was right across the street from a big mall, actually Scandinavia's largest mall, so that was pretty convenient. But my specific room was an apartment, so it was 5 people with a common room, and we each had a single room. So I had a Danish guy named Christian, a British guy named Nick, and then 2 friends who were from Hong Kong, and their names were Sarah and Clara. They do have co-ed dorming in Denmark. And it was very independent. You know, we all cooked our own meals. We shared the kitchen, we shared the cleaning responsibilities, but they all attended different universities, and I was at DIS. So there were a few DIS students in the building, but I didn't live with any directly, and there weren't many to begin with. So I really got an opportunity to meet people from all over the world, and it was a good opportunity to see how different cultures, live and hear people's stories about where they come from. And they also had they have what they call an SRA, a student resident advisor, which is kind of like an American RA, but a little more accessible, a little more, they have a little more experience, a little older. So my SRA was named Jonas, and he had been with DIS for about 8 years. And I actually lost my key one time, and he was able to help me get a new key because it's a little expensive over there. So that was a nice thing that he did. But probably the best part about my housing situation was actually not directly in Signalhuset. I had what's called a visiting family. So I chose not to have a host family. But there is a program that DIS offers where you submit an application, and they will match you with a local Danish family who is there to get to know you and show you around the city and introduce you to their family and really introduce you to the culture in Denmark. So it's hit or miss. Sometimes the families are really close by, sometimes they're far away. I was very lucky to have a family that lived only 10 minutes away. So it was a family of 4. Their names were Sanna, Fleming, Sarah, and Nina, and we still stay in touch to this day. I had dinner at their house once a week. They said, text us whenever you're free and come over for dinner one night and we'll talk. And they made me traditional Danish food. They introduced me to their extended family. They had me over for birthday parties. One time they took me to a little bit north of Copenhagen to see Kronborg, which is Hamlet's castle. So that was really nice of them. And they really treated me like one of their own. So it was probably the best part, the most memorable part of my experience, because I really got an opportunity to not only live in Denmark, but live like a Danish person, because I got to, really have my own family. And then towards the end of the semester, they have a lot of fun Christmas traditions in Denmark. and my parents visited for the week after I finished my classes. And they were nice enough to cook us a full Danish Christmas dinner in their home, even though it wasn't actually Christmas yet, because they really wanted to share their Christmas tradition with us. So that was probably one of the nicest things anybody ever did for me. So I admire the cooperation that DIS has with the students as they, you fill out the application. You're not really sure who you're going to get matched with, but they do a really good job matching you, not only with your housing preference, but also if you decide to do the visiting family, the Danish families as well. So I will pass it on to Kate.
Thanks, Vince. My name is Kate Douglas. I'm also a senior. I'm a biology major and a Spanish minor, and I studied abroad, as Vince did, last fall, so fall 2013. I studied in Costa Rica through the Organization of Tropical Studies. Providence is a consortium school with that, so we kind of have an agreement with that program, which is awesome. And I'm going to touch on a different topic than Vince did. My program was called Global Health and Tropical Medicine, so I spent a lot of time, actually, some of my most valuable experiences were being able to do field work and also do research while I was abroad. The classroom portion of the study abroad experience was really important and really great, but I thought some of the most valuable experience came from getting fieldwork experience. So we spent a lot of time going to hospitals and clinics to learn about differences in healthcare, actually going out into indigenous communities in Costa Rica and learning about traditional medicine, going for hikes through the rainforest, through the cloud forest to learn about botany. So those were all like different aspects that were just a really cool way to understand kind of how the classroom relates to the real world. And I thought that was a great experience. Along with that, we also did research. So one of our credits abroad was a research credit. And we worked with a local women's group in a rural town in Costa Rica. And so we worked with them to look at the impact of membership in this group on aspects of their health, because we were all interested in health. I especially looked at nutrition, so we were able to do a lot of research, learn how to do the basics of research, things like writing a proposal, writing papers, working in the groups, kind of the methods of the more sociological research that we were doing. And especially for me as a Spanish minor, it was really valuable that we were working in Spanish, working within a community, and really getting that real world experience. I think this definitely relates to my future as well, because I really want to work in global health now because of this semester abroad. I thought it was an incredibly impactful and exchange and life-changing experience, not to sound cliche, but I really did think that it made a huge difference in what I want to do in the future. So I'll pass it on to Sarah.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Vale and I'm also a senior. I'm a marketing major, and last fall I also studied abroad in London through the Boston University London Internship Program. So we have a partnership with BU that allows us to go through their program and take BU credited classes, but will also transfer back to PC. Our program we had 3 classes. 2 of them we did for 5 weeks at the beginning of the semester for 2 classes, 2 days a week for 4 hours, and the other class the other 2 days. And then we had Fridays off, which really allowed us to go explore England through these different weekend programs they had for us. I got to go to 6 different places, and it was really cool to see all that. And then the second part of our time there was a 9-week internship program where we worked 4 days a week and we had 1 day of class. My internship was with a luxury concierge service called Quintessentially, and I worked in the wine department. And before I went abroad, they called me and asked what I was interested in, what I had done in the past, what I was looking to do, and I told them I'd worked in the food and beverage industry and grocery stores, and I was really looking toward doing something with marketing for that. So they put me with them so I could just get a good experience of what it was like to work with an outside vendor or have a more personal connection with your clients and stuff. So I got to go on a lot of really cool experiences. I got to do wine and champagne tasting with some really high up people, and it was a different experience. It was not the same environment you have in the United States, but it was really cool to see how international business works and how we do things differently than they do. I really liked that I got to work there because I felt like I was really like incorporated in the culture. Living there for the 5 weeks before we started, I was like getting really comfortable living in London, but this definitely like enhanced my experience and like made me feel like I really like actually lived there, like taking the tube to work every day, and that was like really cool. And even though we worked, I still got to travel to 8 different countries and saw a ton of places I've always wanted to go. So it was like a super valuable experience, and like Kate said, cliche but life changing. And it really taught me that I want to work in a small environment because I like to see projects go from like the beginning stages to the end and work with a small group of people. So I think I'm going to work in a marketing agency, and so that was like something that helped me decide what I really want to do in the future. So pass it on to Rita. Oh yeah.
Hi, my name is Rita Callahan. I'm a senior art history major and French minor. I chose to study abroad for the full year. I did my fall semester in Paris, France with CIEE, and I did my spring semester in Madurai, Tamil Nadu, India with South India Term Abroad. So I chose to study abroad for a full year because I felt as though a semester wasn't going to provide me with enough time to reach my goals for what I wanted to get out of junior year abroad. Specifically, I wanted to improve my language skills, so I knew I wanted to be in a French-speaking country for some amount of time. But I also wanted a non-traditional study abroad experience that would really push me not only academically, but personally, and really bring me outside of my comfort zone. And I think that I was able to do that. I achieved both of those goals by going to 2 very different places that complemented each other just because of my personality and what I wanted to study. So through France, I was able to live with a French host family, really get a cultural understanding, great art historical education, as well as improving my French language. And in India specifically, I was really interested in studying Hindu temple iconography, so I was able to get that non-traditional experience, take the courses that weren't necessarily be offered here, especially with the experiential learning part. I was able to go to the temples and really see firsthand what I was studying. So that kind of helped me in adapting to 2 different places. I was able to get very involved in each place, take cultural classes. I took extracurricular activities like Bollywood dance and batik painting. So it helps with the challenge of adapting into a new environment. They both challenged me equally in very different ways in terms of my own identity. I was forced to dress differently, change my diet, change my personal demeanor as a woman in public. And I think that they were valuable lessons to learn to really get a better understanding of the world's cultures, different belief systems, and just the way different people prioritize their lives and what they understand to be important. So I think it was a great opportunity for me. I was able to meet my personal goals and really have a life-changing experience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura McNulty. I am also a senior here. I was abroad last fall as well, and I was in Rome, Italy. And I'm going to be talking about the academics and how it fit into my schedule, but also how it still kept the core values that Providence College has. I was at Providence College in Rome. They have a Center for Theology and Religious Studies. Doesn't mean you have to be a theology major or anything. That's just, we have a required class over there. It's the New Testament in the Eternal City. And we have a Providence College professor who is living there either for the semester or the year, who came over from here, and right now the one that's currently over there is a theology professor. And she had lived and studied in Rome, so it was kind of cool that she came back, returned to Rome after studying there from college. It was very cool how that class fit into our schedule. I'm a business management major, so I was able to take some business classes over there. I took international marketing and basic operations management, which the classes over there, since it is a PC program, all of them have equivalency classes over here, so all of the class credits transfer, and they're all equivalent to what I would need in my schedule. So those business classes were great. The theology class was very cool. We had class twice a week, Monday and Wednesday. And Monday we would have a lecture, and Wednesday we would go to a site. So we would go to St. Peter's one day. One day we went to Santa Sabina, which was where St. Dominic had lived, and we had mass in his cell. We had seen the first depiction of the crucifixion scene. So that was the first place where it was drawn on the door of the church there, and that's the first time that it was ever depicted. And it was just very cool to see what we've been learning in textbooks, whether it was like the Colosseum or whether it was a church that I had never heard of before, but actually was very significant in Providence College values or church history or something like that. So it was very cool to go from what I had been learning in Civ and what I had been learning all throughout high school and looking in textbooks to actually going to the site. They also offered classes there that was the history of the mafia. So for a lot of history majors, sociology majors, they would take that kind of course. They had the culture of food and wine in Italy, which is a huge part of their culture. A lot of people took that just for an elective, but it was really cool how that got us both immersed in the Italian culture, but how it also showed us how it impacts our life in America and our academic experience at PC. So I'll turn it back to Allie.
Right, so now we're going to open it up to questions. I know we have some families who are watching this downstairs. So we have a friar here, member of the Friars Club, who has a microphone. So if you have a question, please just raise your hand. The microphone will be brought over to you. I will repeat your question, and then we will go into answering it. So you can ask the question to myself, or you can ask specifically one of these students or all of these students, whatever your question may be. Right. So any questions now?
Thank you. Father Shaley this morning talked about the first 2 months being a major transition for the freshmen. Going overseas, in a foreign country, what's the probability or the percentage of, connecting with someone from PC, so at least there's some kind of familiarity from a bond back to the school?
So the question is what the probability is that students would be with at least one other Providence College student to connect with someone from the college abroad, correct? So all of our programs are open to PC students equally. There are some locations that are more popular for Providence College students to participate in and others that are less traditional. So for example, Rita decided to study in South India for a semester, and she went into that knowing that she would be most likely the only Providence College student there. Most of our students are studying abroad in Europe or in Australia, so the majority of our students do attend programs with other Providence College students, and they may choose how much or how little they'd like to interact with the other PC students on the program. Other questions?
If you're doing the full year study abroad, do you go to one place and then come back for winter break and then leave to another place, or is it all continuous?
So it depends on which program you choose to do. Some programs are designed as a full year program, an academic year program in one location, and other students choose to do two separate locations. In either case, students would have a Christmas break during which time they could return home. But the length of the break is going to vary based on the semester start and end dates.
For the woman who went to London, I was just wondering, you said that you spent half of the semester in classes and then the other half you worked. Is that always the case in the one from the London study abroad?
The program I was in was specifically an internship program. There's other programs in London that aren't. There's 3 others that are just classroom only. So I still got 4 classroom credits. I had 3 classes for credit, and then the internship was also for credit. And those actually were 4 credit classes, and generally we take 3 credit classes here. So I was able to get one of my free electives waived because I had enough credits, just not enough courses technically. So it was all 4 credit, and the internship was like the same amount of time that I would have been in a class, kind of like. So.
How many students at Providence College, for instance, last year participated in study abroad?
So the question is, how many students at PC participate in study abroad? For semester and year study abroad, we're usually around 30% of the junior class studying abroad. And then with short-term programs, that brings it up a lot higher. So usually in any given year, we have around 350 to 375 students abroad. Other questions? So the question is for the London internship, if that's offered in the summer as well as the semester, and yes, it is. So many of the semester-long programs are offered during the summer in a condensed version. So the number of credits you'd be taking during the summer is going to depend on the length of time that you're there. Students typically receive 3 to 8 credits during summer study abroad. Right, we'll take the back first. It's a great question. So the question is, when students apply by December 1st for PC approval, if they're applying to a particular program. So students need to select the one program that they plan on participating in by December 1st. However, that can change. So the December 1st deadline is for their PC approval based on our eligibility requirements. The semester before students study abroad, they apply directly to the program that they've selected for acceptance into the program. So there is a difference between approval and acceptance. There are 2 exceptions to that, and that would be the DIS program in Copenhagen and the Providence College and CEA program in Rome. That is a approval and acceptance application rolled into one because we manage those acceptances. Yes? So the question is there a language proficiency requirement for any of the programs? There may be. So every program has their own prerequisites. We do offer options in the European countries. Students may go to any of those countries without knowing the language previously. But there are also programs in those countries for students who are at a higher level of the language and do want to focus on improving their language proficiency. So the prerequisites do vary, but Providence College does not maintain its own language prerequisite for study abroad. When students study abroad in a non-English speaking country, typically they are required to take at least one class in the language while they're there. And that does fit in very nicely into the core focus requirement that students have on campus now. Yes?
So I stayed in a host family actually in both of my locations, and I believe that that was the most beneficial part of my study abroad experience. I think in each location I was able to really get a better understanding and immersion into the culture. It provided me with an excellent support system. I really felt comfortable in each home. They made me like their own child. I ate dinner with them. I went to outings with them if they went on a trip somewhere, kind of similar to what Vince did, except on a much more permanent basis. I was with them every day, but it was very comforting. I got to know the families very well, especially in India because I spent much more time with them, and it was nice. You know, I would wake up every morning and I would have breakfast with the family. I would come home and I would watch a cricket match with my host father. I would have dinner, and it was a great support system to have there. And really, you learn little things about your location that you wouldn't learn necessarily living independently. I feel like.
Yes. Yes. So the question is, how does housing work at Providence College when you study abroad for a semester? So the semester that students will be on campus, if they do choose to live in campus housing, they have 3 different options that the Office of Residence Life gives them. So Students can overcrowd an on-campus room by no more than one student. So for example, if they're living in a 4-person apartment, no more than 5 students can be in that apartment during that semester, and it's a voluntary overcrowding. The other option is for students to switch semesters or switch places with a student who's studying abroad in an opposite semester. So if your student is studying abroad during the spring and one of their friends is studying abroad in the fall, they will essentially switch beds for the semester that they're on campus. And the last option is to work with Residence Life to be assigned a room on campus. So for students who have difficulty filling one of those 2 options, they'll be working with a staff member in Residence Life to be placed in a room that they're comfortable with. Any other questions? Yes.
We have some people downstairs who had some questions. So kind of a 2-part one. Are students required to take a full course load? And then the follow-up to that would be how much free time is there to kind of explore the country or kind of to travel? So
regarding students being enrolled full-time, they are required to be enrolled full-time during the semester that they're studying abroad. What that means is students must take a minimum of 15 credits while they're abroad. And the reason it's based on credits as opposed to courses is because the US credit equivalent for each program is going to vary. So in most cases, students will be receiving 3 or 4 credits for each class, which means they will be taking 5 or 4 classes during the study abroad semester to be enrolled full-time. They do maintain their full-time enrolled status as Providence College students as well during that semester, so that's part of the reason why they need to be in 15 credits. As far as free time, it depends on the student's schedule, but the coursework abroad is going to vary based on the location, but usually abroad students are assessed less frequently, so they have fewer assignments, and their grade depends on larger assignments that will count for a higher percentage of the grade. So most of our students are able to find a good balance between their academics and being able to explore the local culture and travel on the weekends. Were there other questions from downstairs?
So we have a question about the breakdown of different costs for various countries and maybe like a resource or how to develop a budget.
Yes, so question about how to budget. So on our website, we do have frequently asked questions about costs, and from there we have links to a few different websites that will assist students and their families in budgeting. Those 2 websites that are most helpful are looking at the currency exchange rate and the cost of living calculator. The currency exchange rate will let students know what the value of the US dollar is in their host country, and the cost of living calculator will let students know the cost of basic items that they would be purchasing. So, for example, what a cup of coffee will cost in their location, and so they can see different items such as a cup of coffee to understand what the cost of living in their location is. Most of our students are in a large city, so the cost of living tends to be higher than what it is here in Providence. Are there any other questions from you?
Yes, we have one final question,
Okay.
and this is for the panelists actually. So what was the most difficult part of the study abroad experience for you guys?
I mentioned it briefly, but losing my key was not fun. So, because in the building I was in, you have like a fob that gets you into the building, and then a key that gets you into your direct single room. So I was without that for a good 12 hours while I waited for my SRA to bring it to me, and then it took another couple weeks to get a replacement. But so that was a challenge. But I don't know what you guys have.
I would actually say the most difficult part of study abroad for me was actually coming back to the United States. It was easy. I think our Center for International Studies made it very easy to understand culture shock and know going in that we weren't going to be completely like accustomed to what people do, what the culture is in the place that we were going. And so I thought they did a great job with that. So I didn't feel as much of that culture shock. But then coming back to the United States, I feel study abroad was a huge very, very impactful time in my life. And so I realized how much I had changed and also just how different it was and how much I had become accustomed to where I was studying abroad. So.
Pretty much just what Kate said. Like coming back is like really challenging because you make so many great new friends over there, like either Americans or people that live there, and it's really hard to like not be with those same people that you're with 24/7, not being with them anymore, or just like missing the culture, miss it. Like when am I gonna get to go back? I like loved my experience so much, and I like really didn't have any challenges. And I know that sounds like, of course you did, but like I really didn't. Like it was amazing, and like I think everyone should go. And there's benefits outweigh the challenges like by far.
I think my biggest challenge would be balancing the cultural immersive aspect that I wanted with retaining my own personal identity while I was there. So I wanted to really adapt into the cultures that I was living in and really kind of become accepted by them. And I also, as you do that, you have to decide what part of your personal identity you're willing to give up to do that. So that was kind of an interesting thing to learn how to balance while you're traveling and to really kind of become a traveler rather than a tourist. And so that was challenging, but like Sarah said, I think the benefits really outweigh the challenge of it.
I think the biggest challenge for me, I didn't speak any Italian going in, and it ended up being pretty okay just because a lot of people do speak English. But occasionally, like I lived in an apartment with all Italian. I mean, my personal apartment was all students, but it was in an apartment building with all Italians. So if someone came and knocked on our door and wanted to tell us something, we're like, I have no idea what you're saying. So I mean, when we went to go like order food and everything, like I did take a beginner's Italian class, so I was able to order food. I was able to go to the grocery store, and our program like walked us to the grocery store during orientation and said, "This is how you do this. This is how you buy fruit. This is how you. This is what this is called here." So that made it a lot easier. But there were certain times that I just didn't know what to say or how to respond to something, or I couldn't understand someone.
Any other questions in the room? All right. So here is our contact information for the Center for International Studies. We are located in Harkins Hall, so the building adjacent to this building that we're in now. Again, my name is Ali Agati. I am one of the study abroad advisors. We advise for study abroad based on the student's major as opposed to different locations where they may go. So again, we do try to emphasize the curricular integration through our advising as well. So I advise all students with a major in the School of Business and the School of Professional Studies. And then my colleague Catherine Jacobs advises all students who have a major in the School of Arts and Sciences. So thank you all very much for coming. And we do have more pamphlets if you weren't able to grab one in the beginning. Thank you.